What's up, guys? This is Bear Evans coming at you. So we're going to dive right into my Tier 1 or my EDC, my everyday carry. So stay tuned and I'll show you everything that I typically carry on the day-to-day basis. Okay, guys, so here you can see a lot of different stuff. So the reason being is because I have two different main carries, my two different EDCs. They change depending on what job I'm working for the day. So by trade, I work in every field of production. I work in film, I work in theater, business commercials, you name it, the whole shebang. Anything to deal with the AV world, pretty much. So flop that into what I do on the side, which is a lot of historical research. So for those two things, I differ in a lot of different aspects, and then they're very similar in many aspects. So some things don't change regardless, and I'll mention those as I get to them. And I'm going to dive right into it. So as you can see, this is a big old knife. This is a standard U.S. Marine Corps K-bar. Why do I carry such a big knife? Because I like to. I want to. I open carry it, and mainly because one thing you'll see that is missing, I do not carry a gun. That is not because I'm against it. It is because I have moved around too much in the last few years, in between several states that are way too finicky and way too hard to try and switch concealed carry permits around in, being New York and California. So when the time comes, I will definitely be adding one to the ranks, but as always, you know, price is an issue for some of the handguns that I've been looking at, and timing. I have to be back in the state for X amount of time and go through all the rigmarole of getting this concealed carry here in New York again. So that's also why I carry a big knife. I also carry a big knife because a lot of my historical research has me going out to the middle of nowhere, a lot of unmarked places, a lot of backwoods places, and it's always nice just to have a bigger knife. I mean, I've used them from anything from digging in the ground to unbury gravestones to hacking away vines, anything that, you know, you might need just a little extra for, you know. So this guy is my typical day-to-day carry. I carry this during work 98% of the time when I'm not using the K-bar. This is a Gerber. I don't know the actual name of it, but it's the knife that typically has the orange paracord wrapped around the handle. So I love this knife. This is actually the second version of this knife that I own. The only reason that I got a second version of it was because the sheath started wearing out on my old one, and I did take the original belt loop off. I hated that thing. The screws would constantly come loose. That was really just about the only downside to the knife. So all I did was just put a couple of hanks of paracord through there, cinched them kind of tight, and obviously they loosen up, you know, a little bit over time because paracord stretches out, like you know. And that works great. I've never had any issues with it. Holds up better than the original, and you can beat the ever-living hell out of this knife. I mean, you can do anything with it, with the exception of striking a fire steel. It does not take to a fire steel very well unless you use the blade, which I don't advocate. Moving on. We'll go up to this little guy. I carry this little guy almost all the time. Wicked sharp. It's a Kershaw. It's the spring assist. This is the Kershaw. I think it's the Speed Safe is the name of this one. You can pick this up just about any knife shop or online or anywhere. Really great, really small, really light, but super durable. I've had this knife for, I don't know, probably 4 or 5 years now, and I love using this as my EDC knife. And then when I don't use the Kershaw, I use this Schrade classic style folder. It comes with a really nice leather sheath. again, you can beat the heck out of this thing and it'll just keep coming back. And then it's just a classic open spine lock type buck knife. Comes wicked sharp, and it's a nice hold if you're a bigger guy like I am, bigger hands. Fits the hand pretty nice. And you can wear it on the belt with, you know, any other tools that you're wearing. Sometimes for work, if I have to wear a utility belt or anything, this is definitely not the option you want to go with because it just gets in the way. And then good old trusty multi-tool. This is the Leatherman Super Tool. Yes, the Leatherman Super Tool. It's got everything in it: the saw, the file, the screwdrivers. You know, nice sharp knife, and you know you've got your couple saw variants and everything, and the pliers are good, and the snips inside are still wicked sharp. I've had this thing for, again, probably 5 or 6 years. I've never really had to hone anything on it. I do keep all of my tools, knives, axes, whatever, pretty well maintained. I give everything a good oil down probably every 2 months, more so if I use it. So all this gear you see here gets maintenance at least once a month. The reason being because the leather will wear out. I mean, you can obviously see where I don't know what you want to call it, the varnish on this is starting to wear out, but again, the sheath is still super solid. The Leatherman is an expensive option if you go for the Super Tool. I think this thing runs typically $80 and up, but well worth it. Definitely if you're looking for a good multi-tool, invest in this. I know a lot of people prefer the Gerbers just because they have the spring assist pliers, which, yeah, they're great, but I always had a Leatherman influence in my life growing up, so I went with that, no questions asked. Typical standard cotton bandana. I use them as handkerchiefs or whatever the hell else. If it's hot, soak them in water, wrap them around your head or your neck. I mean, there's a million and one uses for these things. Everybody knows how to use them. Pill bottles. So these two things have an assortment of, you know, Tylenol, ibuprofen, some of my allergy pills, and Imodium in them. And they're just for when you're out and about, you really need something, or if somebody else really needs something. I typically work with a lot of other people, and it's always nice to just be able to reach in a pocket, pull this out, you know, especially if you're on set or something like that. This is the one that I carry day to day. This is the one that I carry depending on how long I'm going to be out or how many people I'm going to be with, because as soon as people know you carry it, they go to you. And then on top of that, when I'm working on certain job sites or in theaters or anything, any type of grip work or anything like that, it's always nice just to keep some basic gauze. This just happens to be small enough to tuck in the middle of these things, which is kind of nice. Fabric tape. Can't stand the plastic tape. I can't stand the paper tape. Those things are both trash and worthless. You want a good medical tape, go with the cloth. You can wrap it around anything. It'll actually stick and stay where it needs to for the duration that you'll have whatever wrapped or bandaged. And on top of that, you can use it for anything else, and it's not going to ruin what you stick it to. And then this is just that like sports tape, which is a nice alternative to the actual medical tape if need be. Or if you need something just a little bigger, a little more oomph, it gives you that option. My watch, this is a Seiko. I have no idea how to say that company name. I'll have to look it up at some point. I don't know if this actually has a brand name on it or not. I don't think it does. Like a style name, I mean. But it's just a good classic analog watch. I prefer the analog. Really for just a couple of reasons. I just like the classic look. I used a digital watch for many, many years. I loved it. But the nice thing about the analog watches is in a survival scenario, you can use it as a makeshift compass. That was really the biggest thing, swapping back to analog, that I really, really liked. My pipe. I don't smoke it very often. I smoke it more when I go out and about. Just a really simple tobacco pipe, and when I have it, I don't have any in here right now, but I keep a little baggie of pipe tobacco. Typically it's for camping, but I like to carry it with me just in case I have the option. or want the option, I should say. And ironically enough, right next to that is my asthma inhaler, but I don't use that too much. Up from here, we've got my headphone case, which also has a lens cleaner wipe just on the outside of it. The only reason it's rubber banded shut is because typically I throw this into like a cargo pocket or a jacket pocket, and it's a pain in the ass when this thing pops open and everything falls out. I have my adapter to my cell phone so that I can plug a flash drive straight into my cell phone with it, along with a spare 32 gig micro SD card and the micro SD card adapter, and that's just really for work and my phone more than anything else. And then the headphones obviously just for whenever I have a few minutes to kill. This is just a business card holder. It's fallen apart. I need a new one. Nothing special about it. Flash drive I use for work. I always carry one on me just in case. I work in a super tech heavy field, and you know, if you need files moved or saved, or you've got that one, you know, weird sized 50 gig file, like video file moved or something, I've got a 64 gig that I can take care of everything with. I've moved away from using a wallet for the time being. I've just got the money clip. It's just got my ID, my car insurance, my what little cash I carry, and my debit card. It was nice to move down to that from the wallet, because I don't carry my wallet in my back pocket. I always carry my wallet in my front pocket. I just prefer it that way. It's harder to get pickpocketed that way. And it's nice going down to the money clip because it's just that much smaller. So, flashlight. I've used this flashlight for a very, very long time. This is an EDC, and I believe, what is this? This is the P200A2. Hopefully that'll pick up. I don't know if you guys can see that or not. I'll give it a second. Hopefully it is. Again, this is the same camera that I will have and will be using for a while, so I don't have a flip out screen, so I can't see when things are in focus, unfortunately. But this thing's great. Puts out a lot of power. This is actually with dead batteries. It's still that bright. I just had a massive power outage where I was due to a nor'easter, and we were without power for about 2 days. And it was nice to have, you know, a nice bright flashlight to you know, light up a room with, you know, just to work in. And this sheath is actually really awesome. So it's got this loop on here, nice and narrow loop, but sturdy, Velcro all the way up and down. That's really, really nice if you want to just throw it onto any type of molly webbing or anything of that sort. You can loop a belt through it. I prefer to hang it off a belt loop with the carabiner, and I've just got a cheap locking carabiner on there. But it's got a nice hard, heavy-duty plastic D-ring. If you really wanted to, you could cut it out and put a metal one in there. It wouldn't be too hard to do. And this thing goes everywhere. I believe the light is shockproof, dust-resistant, and water-resistant. Not waterproof. Don't quote me on that. It might be. You can pick these things up. Last I knew, for like 60 bucks. I think they're still around that. I actually would like to get another one or two of these in the future, just because of how nice they are and how versatile the carry case is. They run off of 2 AA batteries, so if you're looking for a good flashlight that still runs off of a simple battery, not the Cree batteries, not the C123s or whatever the hell they are, good old-fashioned AA. It's bright. It puts out I think just south of 500 lumens, so it gets the job done for whatever you need it for. I do have a headlamp that I use for work sometimes, but not as often as I just use this. The headlamp is just a cheap Rayovac. You'll see it when I do my full gear video. Just a pack of gum. I've always got gum or something, just something to chew on. Pen. Always have to have a pen. I do a lot of paperwork, unfortunately. It's boring as hell. But on top of that, I do a lot of note-taking for the historical research. Lordy, it's, what is it, 5:30 in the morning. I've been up for like 24 hours already, so I'm a little tired. So yeah, just always have a pen. Typically I keep a backup somewhere near me, either in a backpack or in the car or something. I've got pens everywhere. You know, there's just always one floating around. Really simple, you know, dime store comb, nothing special about it. It's just nice to be able to fix the hair really quick, especially since I've got the big beard. This actually doesn't go for the beard. I've got a different comb for that, but I didn't feel the need to show that. And then, obviously just for coiffing your hair. This thing, I get a lot of questions about this. Typically I wear this around the wrist that I don't wear my watch. For those of you that don't know, this is called a bongo tie. It looks like two heads of golf tees. It's because I'm pretty sure that's what they are. Just a heavy-duty rubber band. They're great just for whatever the hell you need, if you need a big heavy-duty rubber band, but they're typically meant to hold stuff to other things. You just wrap it around. Oops. Hook it on, and you're good to go. And it's nice and sturdy, whatever you hold it onto. A lot of camera teams and sound teams use them just to hold battery packs and everything to other gear and whatnot. So I always keep a spare just in case. Notepads. So this little guy is the one that I typically roll with. I think, yeah, this is a 2016 calendar book, but I really just like it for the notepad and basic stuff in the back. It's got, you know, some simple maps and conversions and stuff in the back, which are always nice. And then on top of that, I've got my heavy-duty notepad for when I'm on set or anything like that, or if I'm doing field work for the history research. This is what I like to use. It's just slightly bigger than this, and it's better than, you know, talking into a phone, taking notes or anything. I prefer handwritten stuff anyways. But this is nice because I can just throw it into a cargo pocket, and I know it's gonna survive. This I have to hook onto something, either a belt loop or a keychain, something just to dangle. Moving on from there, we've got a Zippo. I've got a few that I bounce around using. I always catch flack for using a Zippo. My biggest thing, well, two reasons really. One, I just like them. I prefer them to the Bics. You know, I can whip this against the wall and it's not, well, probably not going to break. With a Bic, I've broken so many Bics. I don't know how I do it. It's just the one thing that I have perfected breaking in my pockets. That plastic cracks, it can puncture, whatever. And then the nice thing about the Zippos as well is if, because I take these camping with me too, you can pull the cotton out from the inside if no one's ever used a Zippo before. You pull out that, and there's cotton in here. That cotton is super, super flammable. It'll take the spark off of this thing, no questions asked. Even if it's out of fluid, it's still just got the remnants of it in there. So, yeah, so it doubles up for that. This is actually a knockoff Zippo, but whatever, still Zippo. Waterproof matches. I carry these definitely when I go camping, normally, and then also whenever I carry the pipe with me. So that kind of goes in tandem. I hate the fact that it's a bright orange case. It's like the most obvious standout point piece of gear that I have, but it's whatever. It's hard to find them that aren't in orange or black, I wish it was black, orange or red. It's just one of those survival items that everybody thinks needs to be a bright color. If I can find a better match case, I will, because the striker actually fell off of the bottom of this one, and this was just a cheap, I think this was like 80 cents or something like that in someone's surplus store. So it was just a quick grab, and it's lasted for like 2 years, so it's not a bad buy. Chapstick, during the winter is when I only carry chapstick, just because I get split lips. During the summer, I don't worry about that. Phone carrier, just a typical OtterBox, clip onto your pocket, belt, pants, whatever, clip your phone into it and go. This, I added it to the video. I don't use it very often, solely because I only use it like when I travel, which is pretty frequent, but only when I'm driving, because then I don't like keeping my phone in my pocket because I use it for music and whatnot. So it's nice just to clip it into this and be able to go. The phone is a Samsung S7 Edge with an OtterBox. Why OtterBox? It was just one of the cheap cases that I could find that I knew was waterproof and, you know, weather resistant, period. It's taken a couple of decent drops, but nothing too major, so I haven't really, you know, put it through the ringer or anything at all like that, but it serves its purpose and mostly just keeps the phone clean, keeps my screen protected more than anything. That's the one thing I really worried about. And also with a lot of the new cameras, or new phones, the cameras jut out from the back. They're not flush with the back of the phone anymore. And I realized I was like wearing the paint off of the edge of the camera without it, so I wised up and put a case on it so I didn't destroy the outer camera on it, because I do rely on this camera pretty heavily for everything that I do. And then last but not least, a big old power brick. This thing is made by Arturo Technologies. Is a 20,000 milliamp. Hopefully you guys can see this. Whoops, I didn't mean to turn it on. It's a beast. It does take a little while to charge. I think the longest it ever took to charge for me was like 10 hours, but I think that was because I was on kind of a hinky power source to charge it. But I have, let me think. I think I've gotten 5 full charges out of this for this phone, which is pretty impressive because of the draw and amount of power that this phone takes to charge. It's got the 3 USB charge ports on top, so you can charge 3 different items at any given time. It's got a little light on the top, which is actually kind of nice when I'm charging stuff while I'm working. Sometimes you can't have the brightest light possible out, and it's just bright enough to be able to see what you're doing, to, I mean, reach in a bag, or you know, if you drop something, whatever, you know, it's got just enough oomph to, you know, light something up from like 6 inches away. I do carry this on me. I don't have the cable in there right now. It's actually plugged into the wall charging something else right now. I do have tons of extra cables, but I like to keep some packed away ready to go with certain other pieces of gear. And if I don't have to dig into them, I won't. There was no need to pull it out for the video. It's just a regular Samsung charger. It's heavy, I know. All of this is heavy. And I've come to terms with that. I'm used to it. It doesn't bother me anymore. I've perfected, for me, how to carry it comfortably where it's not a nuisance, it's not a burden. For a lot of people, this is way too much. I understand. You carry how you want to carry. It's all about your preferences. So I like being prepared for many, many scenarios. I have to be prepared for many, many scenarios because of the variations in my work, which is why I have so many different pieces of gear. So this is my tier 1, all in all, my EDC. Tier 2 will be my harness and utility belt. Tier 3 will be my pack. Tier 4 will be my vehicle. I've officially decided I'll make that a Tier 4 video, and a Tier 4 category for that fact. So those videos will be coming soon. Thank you guys for watching. As always, please hit the like and subscribe buttons, and if you feel like it, check out my Patreon. All your support is greatly, greatly appreciated. And as always, everything that you guys send to support will only support this channel. Everything that comes in goes straight to funding this channel. New camera gear, new sound gear, all of that stuff. New editing software especially. So thank you guys. Thanks for tuning in, and I will catch you on the next one.